Sounds like you need a psychiatrist. Who are you? Hello everyone, I'm Paavo Järvi, the music director of Tonhalle Orchestra Zurich. Welcome to Tramp for Two, a series where I take my guests on a ride through Zurich. Today we welcome one of the greatest and nicest cellists and a good friend, Sol Gabetta.
Hello, Paavo.
Welcome. You've probably never done an interview in a tram before.
But you didn't offer me a coffee.
Yes, next time we need to upgrade and do a little coffee here. But you are Argentinian. You are, of course, used to having a little coffee. How Argentinian are you really?
I think it's really part of my life. Of course, I was born there and I learned all my musical education. The beginning of my education, it was something very important because the art of learning.
By listening.
Listening, exactly. I was copying. And when I was very small, I could play everything from the orchestras. I was playing the bass, of course. By chance, I met a Polish-American cellist, Christine Walewska, which I have seen last week in New York. Incredible woman, because she was a beautiful person with one of the most beautiful cello sounds. And when I was 7, mostly probably, years old, I met her in Cordoba. She came for a competition and she was playing also Dvorak concertos just after. And after being at that concert, I really realized I want to be a cellist like her.
Somebody had to be the example.
It was the example at that time, and I realized today how important it was, that point. So the first time she says to my parents, if you want to come to Buenos Aires, she was living there, you can come whenever you want, I can teach her. Of course, my parents says, okay, we will see with the school how to arrange, but every 2 weeks, my father was driving with me in a minivan. I was sleeping behind. Today, I think in Europe would not be possible, sleeping without security, you know. A little bit crazy situation, but it was great because we traveled after the school and then we arrived the weekend.
Hours?
8.5.
8.5. It's a nice little commute to the lesson and back.
Yes.
You can think you have 3 great countries that accept you as your own. Argentina, France, Switzerland. And this is kind of amazing to have so many places that claim you as their own.
I think something was, for me, so natural, strange-wise, coming from Argentina. I wanted to have structure. I needed to have structure. And all the kind of type of living here was giving me everything what I was really looking for. Yeah, somehow.
Yes, you have. So you're Swiss. You have a Swiss soul because
Swiss
head because you need structure and clarity.
I need structure to feel freedom.
Yeah, yes. Well, in music, very often that's how it works. If you know how it's put together, you can be free. And people often don't realize it, especially students. They think, oh, I want to just feel. Yeah, if you don't know how to fit in, you'll never be free. Your stomach is Argentinian, French, or Swiss. What do you like to eat?
I think we eat the best in France.
Yeah, you think so?
Yes, because in Argentina, for me, it's too heavy already. Until 20 years old, I was very happy with meat, and a lot of meat and more meat. Today, I would not say I'm vegetarian because I'm not vegetarian, but I think with age you become really a person who needs to have less to feel more strong.
How do you combine your life as a musician, practice, traveling musician, and a mother?
I thought at the beginning everything is easier. The first year when I knew I am pregnant and child is coming, I thought a little baby like this could travel everywhere, no problem. And I didn't cancel almost anything until after the first months. He was never sleeping. And I decided we cannot go to America because I will die if I have really no time to recover, you know. It was really hard, actually, the first 2 years, but I was for 2.5 years traveling with him everywhere, with probably 100 concerts, with baby cook and some potatoes, some bananas.
But did you also have somebody travel with you?
Yes.
Because that's helpful.
Of course, necessary.
I remember when we traveled to Japan and we had a deal where I said, I don't need a very fancy hotel room, but I need 2 rooms that are connected by a door that are totally separate.
That you can sleep.
So my kid, they were sleeping. They were sleeping in another room, had their own schedule. They never changed to jet lag, and I was in the other room, and we sort of overlapped for 2 hours somewhere for dinner.
You will not believe, but since I am mother, for me the stage is almost the moment where I feel so free.
Absolutely. No, I understand that. I understand.
Because there is no other responsibilities than only to think about that what I am doing. This kind of platform I receive, I become, it's a present for my life.
Absolutely. No, I do. You're not the first person who have said this to me as well, because finally I have some time for myself. And it's going to be, in front of 2,000 people, of course. I was watching a documentary about Michael Jackson, and he was not happy as a kid. He was only really free when he was on stage, because then he could just be, and he felt like a fish in the water. Otherwise, he was beaten. You have to do this, and this is bad. This is not right. And in a way, I can, in a different level, of course, but understand that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How do you balance between? Obviously, there is a demand for box office repertoire, but also making your life a little bit more interesting and varied.
It's just to choose few pieces for some reasons. Just thinking about what are my qualities and what are my abilities, because both of them are important for the music. As soon as I know where are my fragilities, I can make it positive, these fragilities, put it in a positive way.
Yes.
So this started, for example, with Martinu, where I heard this piece many times. There's not many recordings, but they were all quite old and not really good played, not together with the orchestra. The ideas musical were not concrete developed. And then I played once with Andris Nelsons because they proposed me to do this piece. Was very well concert, but I wasn't still understanding the concert. So I didn't play it for a few years, and then I took this piece back after 8 years, and I thought, actually, this piece is offering me, as a cellist, all my qualities I have to express. There's not many concertos, for example, where you have this platform of the technical range. Maybe if you have it, then they are covered. For example, in Dvorak Cello Concerto, many times they are inside, but I think sometimes it's not even necessary. So difficult. And actually, the most important is the melody of the oboe. Oh, yes. And we're playing like crazy. And I don't understand why. So my idea was at that point, okay, we need a podium, just which moves. Yes. At that point, anybody's looking me, just my back, and they listen to the
and there's a light going on the oboe.
For example, yeah. I try just to understand myself. Like a psychologist of your own personality.
Right. Through the piece, you get to know yourself.
Yes, because I discover for myself that actually, because all of us, we have many personalities inside of us, but some of them can change, many of the personalities very quickly, and they don't know even anymore who they really are. They are like all of them at the same time, and no one of them.
Sounds like you need a psychiatrist. Who are you? I totally understand it. I totally get it, because for me, I used to obsess about certain things that were so important. I do this piece now, 20 years later. These things totally don't matter to me anymore. I couldn't care less about the things that I used to spend hours and hours rehearsing. Another thing has become much more important, because I see the piece with an entirely different view, different distance. I'm maybe different, and the new me needs a different thing from a piece. Thank you, Sol, for this wonderful conversation. It's always so much fun to talk to you.
Thank you, Pavel.
And great to make music with you.
Thank you so much.
Follow us. This is Triumph for Two. Subscribe. See you soon.